At Walk, we've been providing community-based support around Dublin for over 50 years. But in a fast-changing world, in order to continue to empower disabled people to live life on their own terms, we've been searching for ways to innovate and embrace strength-based practice. To do this, we've partnered on a pilot project with Bob Rhodes and his network at Lives Through Friends, a UK-based organisation renowned internationally for delivering systemic, person-centred change in the world of social care.
We started with myself going over to spend time with Lives Through Friends, with Bob Rhodes at the Cheltenham Summer Institute in 2023. And I learned from a number of people there in terms of trying to create the conditions in which friendships and relationships can happen.
What we acknowledged was that we were really good in Walk at getting people jobs, getting people employment, working on their careers, and maybe open up those educational opportunities. But what we continue to hear from the people that we work with is that they still remained lonely and isolated, and particularly in the evenings and weekends when the traditional day service was closed.
The unconventional thing is we want to break the pattern. We don't want to be doing this support that's scheduled. We're doing, you're having support 2 till 7. We're going for a walk, we're sitting at your house, doing shopping. No, we believe more for this person, that this person deserves best life, and it just doesn't work doing it the standard way.
Part of the challenge in our current system is unwittingly what we have done is that we are still creating the conditions for people to be segregated and congregated together. They're the same conditions that people experienced in the institutions. So, and we might be in communities, we might be in smaller hubs, but we're not there when the community members are. We're not there in the evenings, and we're not there at the weekends, and we're just missing massive opportunities for real life and people to develop and grow and flourish.
Primarily, the relationships in people's lives have been paid support. There is an unnatural element to that because it's not reciprocal. We are paid to be there to support them in what they need in the moment. That's not what they'd get from a natural relationship.
It's basically cluster whoever works together, or if there's a group of people that have a similar diagnosis, let's put them in a similar place so they can all be together. It's segregation. The system has not done that, I don't think, in negative intent, but has done that because it's cost effective. It's reliable, it ticks boxes, and families and services are feeling like they have a support, almost like a babysitter.
Having natural support networks builds protective mechanisms into people's lives, and then you've got other people on board giving them an opportunity to see, well, how life could be a little bit different, and I want to model the behaviour or what somebody else has, that my friend has a house by themselves, and I'd like it to have that too. I really experiencing life.
Families want good lives for their loved ones, as we all do. Everyone wants their loved ones to have a good quality life, to have friends, to have relationships, to have meaning. I suppose families that we work with, the challenge sometimes is in the fact that they've been bought into a system where they do have to fight for every single step. They have to fight for every bit of funding or every new placement, and they've been doing it since their child was born. And that's the system that unfortunately was created around them. Also, I believe that families want this, but maybe they don't know how this looks because it hasn't been done. It's not the norm in terms of people out there living really independent lives and taking risks. They've been taught to, and they've been spoken to about risk and, how do we safeguard them, how do we protect people rather than how do we give them the best lives. So I think the want is there, they just need the support on how to do this.
Families tend to get ignored an awful lot of the time. We don't tend to put the same emphasis as service providers into actually supporting families, but also bringing families on that journey too. And that's a huge part of it. Looking at who are our partners here and bringing those partners on the journey. What we're trying to do is take that control and that locus of control and put it where it should belong, with family and with the individual.
And people are very afraid and apprehensive about what the future might look like for their loved one. And that's completely natural, completely understandable. The answer won't come through an expectation that services are the answer. I think the answer has to come from some systemic change and from collaborative change. We need to be working together. We need to be working in partnership. We need to be understanding what each of us can bring to this. Yes, we do need to advocate for change through our political systems and through our funding services, but we also need to advocate for change in our thinking about what is possible and how we might get there. And that's what we're trying to do in this project with Lives Through Things. This is what we're trying to do in the project with families. And certainly the results that we're seeing so far is the people that we're working with, when we involve them in that collaboration, when we're listening to what they're saying, we actually make more effective and better life outcomes for people.
And for those people, there's been significant change. Sometimes that change has been quite quick. Other times that change has taken a amount of time. But everybody that we have spoken to who's on this pilot project, and their families as well, would see that their loved ones' life has benefited from having more access to opportunities, having more access to places where they can contribute, and developing more relationships.
My son has been attending Walk since he finished in a special secondary school, and he started this initiative. Basically, he wasn't gelling with the services the way he should have been. He wasn't really getting anything out of it. So they decided to try a different approach with him, and to really try and sit down with Nathan and, you know, find something that he liked. So he done a drama workshop, which he loved. He done some writing workshops, and then they found a comedy workshop, and he's absolutely loving it. And his confidence, and every week he was coming back from his course and he was talking about the people he met and what they were after doing, and he actually has a life outside the house now.
I'm a freaking delight. I've always been a fan of comedy. When I was a young child watching my dad's Peter Kay DVD, it was something that I've always wanted to do. Love comedy, love it, love it, love it. So with the help of Walk, I saved up the money so that I could do that course as well.
What was really remarkable about Nathan is he took on board everything I said. So he didn't, where some people get defensive or they argue or they have their own ideas, Nathan's very open and he took on board everything. So if I said to Nathan, take your faults and use them as a joke, he would get those, exaggerate them, and he was really good at writing jokes from a really early stage.
People, when they first meet me, they think that I'm American. Did anybody think that when I started talking? Anyone? Yeah. I think it's down to my accent and my weight, but mainly my accent.
So obviously Nathan is somebody maybe who has experienced life in a certain way, and he knows what people think about him or what he thinks people think about him, and he used that in his comedy straight away and was so charming. He was really, really good, really different, and it was fantastic.
What was like before I ever with Walk, I wouldn't dress myself, I wouldn't shower, I wouldn't come down for my dinner. I had a breakdown at that stage, but ever since I heard about Walk, it changed my life.
I think what has changed is that they allowed my sister Michelle to have her voice, really working with her and finding out what she really likes to do and looking into the community where that was possible.
Like someone, like going to your coffee shop and meet new people, and maybe where you get your hair done, join a choir. Well, I'm kind of doing work experience at the moment in a cafe in the Green Kitchen. I'm on the dishwasher, and sometimes when it's quiet I do prep work, but I'd like to be trained on the floor as well.
All I really wanted for her was to have a home and relationships, and I can see that for her now, and I can see her making more friends.
Before, I didn't really know, like, if sometimes it was hard to have a conversation with people and trying to figure out what to say and what questions to ask. But now, since doing this thing with Mason on how to have conversations with people and how to talk to them and how to ask questions, yeah, I've gained a lot more confidence in that now.
Yeah, I'm growing more confident and learning new skills, and suggested an idea to one of the job coaches about getting work experience into my job, and they got it into the job. Have friends, live in a house with friends, and be happy and just get out there and explore things.
We asked someone, a family member, to support the person in which we was independently travelling. Mum was fearful because he was going to be on his own for the bus, and he was select, like, he doesn't talk a whole lot. What happened that day, I suppose, opened Mum's eyes to realise that people actually are willing to be supportive and actually want to be part of this. And the bus driver got to know his name, but there was a random guy on the bus that was making sure he got off the right stop and was waving at us to let us know that they knew that he was coming down to us. And now that's a regular thing. That's every Monday morning at 9:30. That's a routine that's outside of us. We don't staff it. Mum doesn't have to be there, but he has that 10, 15 minutes of independence. It's just him. He's living his life, and whatever happens on that bus journey, that's a new experience to him.
That's what this is all about. When we ask the question, what sort of life do you want to lead, we're also asking, what are you interested in? What can you do? What are your talents? You know, how can we help you be better at those things? How can we make you make contact with the people that share your interests? How can we connect the people in the various aspects of your life that know you, and we can connect them with your family as well, so that we build this network of people who know you, are supportive for you, supportive for the family, but actually getting a good time themselves out of being involved in this thing.
And here we go again, and we're coming back again with a new objective. Well, not necessarily that it's new, but we're just going back to the basics, and we're using the funding that's there. There's nothing new about it. Using the funding potentially at certain, using it a bit more flexibly. That's what we're looking for, is being able to use flexible funding, and that it's not pigeonholed into one part of your life, but that actually you're able to span. It's able to span across the person's life.
And our goal with this is, to really reinstate the culture that was so strong when I started. It's what brought me in, it's what made me stay here, is that buy-in for people wanting good quality lives for people. I think you do that through supporting our staff, bringing them on this journey. It's a very tough job, and the system around them and around our organisation has made this job much harder. Regulation, all these additional checks and balances. So the focus can sometimes be lost on creating really, really good lives for people, and it's about how do we bring that back to staff, how do we reinvigorate them, how do we empower them to want to buy into something like this and want to be part of it, and that's what we're really working on right now.
Change and change management is embedded in the culture of WALK, and I would say this regularly when I meet with new staff at an induction program. If you don't do change, you don't do WALK.
There's a real question about pace of change here, and services tend to be inflexible and can't cope with the level of flexibility and creativity that's actually required to do the job. And people with disabilities cannot wait. They can't wait for services to catch up with their lives and their needs.
WALK is committed to furthering and broadening our efforts in collaboration with individuals and families. We aim to listen, learn, and create meaningful, purposeful, and relationship-driven lives that extend beyond set support hours. While individual initiatives are valuable, they alone cannot bring about the necessary systemic changes. WALK invites community members, fellow service providers, commissioners, and policymakers to engage with us, meet the individuals and families we support, and witness firsthand that there is another way.